right? Them. Watch my mouth drip. Here we are in day 89 of 100 days of visibility. It's so close. It is so close. Yeah, so today I basically just off from any attempt to do extra work. Like it's currently the afternoon. Last night I noticed, oh man, my system is just fried. I have taken on too much. I need to take a step back and take some breathing room. I ended up, instead of doing my usual kind of implicit meditation in the evening, I intentionally found and read a comic, a web comic. I hadn't checked the Girl Genius comics in a long time, a couple of years, so it was neat to start to catch up on that. And then this morning, it popped up, and I noticed my usual habit of, okay, and now focus on the body, focus on this, focus on that. I could take a breath, let go of the mind. And this stuff has been really powerful and really productive for me for the most part. It's very, it's given me a lot of stability, a lot of ease, a lot of breathing room. But I just noticed, I seem to have lost to the ability to rest. When I try to rest, what I'm doing is instead grounding more. And what happens when I'm tired of grounding? So instead, I watched YouTube videos. I woke up this morning and pulled out my iPad and just watched some YouTube videos. So intentionally, basically goofing off from anything, including trying to do proper rest. Just trying to, okay, let me just let go of any effort to make myself do something different on the inside. Not as a general principled thing, just like, okay, my system is overworked, and the thing I actually need to do is give it space so that it can recover. I wasn't quite expecting this, but I ended up sliding right into I noticed myself avoiding a bunch of the Facebook groups that I normally plug into. Like that part was expected. So I started wanting to check to see about what messages I got, and I noticed, it just feels like it's work for me to engage in them right now, and what I really want to do is rest. And so I had a cup of green tea. It's possible this is a lot of the effect that I've noticed today. It might be more the caffeine content. I very rarely have caffeine anymore, and a cup of green tea is a lot for me at this point. It very much wakes me up. I get caffeine withdrawal if I have green tea 3 days in a row, and then I stop. I just get hooked very quickly. So had some green tea, I watched some more videos, and then I just found myself wanting to write stuff, and then I popped open a screen that I'd been thinking about, I really want to start putting together this Facebook group. So this is part of the process in the background of me creating a container to allow the frequency of this program that wants to come through me, Mage, to have a space where it's held. There's some details that are still missing, but it's enough that I'm on the edge of being ready to just announce it formally. A lot of this is just me setting up the group, setting up the, there's a section for certain kinds of Facebook groups called guides right now. It used to be called units, which provide some kind of context. You read through them, you read through the notices, you maybe work through a quiz or something like that. I'm not using the quiz form because that part's irrelevant. But I've been watching a part of my mind go through, okay, and then I want to have this content, and I want to have this here, and put this here, and this is the core, so make this easily visible. I know how to set this kind of stuff up. It's sort of my jam. And I just found myself setting it up. I put together the group rules, and I started noticing myself feeling out, oh, well, what kind of structure do I want to do in terms of when we're having group calls, and I can sort of feel the way that I would want to use live streams in that space. Not really planning, I just noticed all this stuff flowing out, and at this point, the structure is like a full third there. This went from, I should probably do that too. It now has a banner. I'm not much of an artist, so the banner is like, it's okay. It's okay. then I toss together something on Canva. I'm probably going to tweak it a little bit because I'm still looking at it going, let's fix that a little bit. But I could feel the resonance sort of fitting itself in. But more to the point, more to the core for my actual lived experience, there is a tremendous amount of ease here. I feel like if I were really trying to dig into the personal work, which is exactly the point of, like, I'm not doing that today. Like, I'm not going to try to do anything especially challenging. I'm not kind of trying to do workouts of my soul. And that's like, today is about taking a day off. And I think if this weren't a day off, I would be inclined to drill into, so there's a lesson here, and I want to really integrate this lesson. And I can feel the weight of doing that. Right? And so, ironically, by not doing that, I'm better integrating the lesson, which is I'm noticing how there is a kind of ease and openness that comes from dropping a very particular kind of effort that allows my energy to flow more readily. Now, again, some of this may be because of the caffeine. I don't know. I'm not going to know until tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to go through a very mild form of caffeine withdrawal. It always happens. Like, I have a cup of green tea and the next day it's a little down. Part of my own practice is also getting comfortable with and familiar with the down. That's not really a deep part of the mage resonance, but it's absolutely part of the eternal, the way that the eternal manifests. If you haven't seen my previous videos, that's going to sound confusing. I guess the short version is that I embody a kind of orientation to what it means to taste forever, what it would be to be immortal. There's a whole background to that one. I don't think I am immortal in a biologically different way from other people, but I am psychologically much different in my orientation to death and immortality than just about anybody. I have not met other people who have gone through an experience that is very much at all close to mine, which some of that's coming from ego and looking at how different I am. When I take a breath and I open it up, it's also just an honest description. I have a type of experience that is really different. That ends up being in service to something beautiful. Part of that service includes something about how to orient to the downslopes, the sense of like depression and sadness and grief. I'm not embodying that right now. I don't want to, and it's not what's alive for me right now. But I'll go through that tomorrow, and then I'll have a clearer feeling of where exactly is the letting go. I think there's a place where I could be more skillful and more active in letting go, as paradoxical as that is. Like, there's something very important about attending to forms of inner work, but part of the inner work includes letting go of certain aspects that I cling to. And one thing I'm discovering from today is, it looks like my ability to show up and create the containers, get things moving in this space, it's not really me. I let go and then I find myself creating it because it's just what I really want to do. It's where my energy moves. And if I'm not resisting anything, that's just what I find myself doing. So there's something about the ease with which that all unfolds that is accessible because I'm not trying. But if I just don't try at all, then I find myself kind of spacing out, being inclined to just watch videos all day, and avoiding certain kinds of discomfort and not digesting. Although it's also quite possible that my self-model is just out of date and that I'm trying to address patterns that only exist in my mind and they're not in my body anymore. I'm getting caught in loops, and that if I just stop pretending that they're there, then the patterns in fact aren't there anymore. So it might be at this point that if I just let go, I will coast really easily. So I'm going to find out in the next couple of days. Right now, I'm not worried about it because it's my day off. Hi, Anthony. Anthony Adams says, you may enjoy The Inner Game of Tennis if you haven't read it yet. I read it about, I think, about 10 years ago. I faintly remember it. I remember really liking it, and I think that I would probably get a lot more out of it now. So thank you for reminding me about that. Very suitable for non-tennis players and tennis players alike. Yeah, what I recall from The Inner Game of Tennis was him something about, it's been a really long time, but the flavor I remember from it is a lot about letting go, and the way in which there's a need to put in concentration to develop skill, but part of the skill is knowing to let go of the effort at all and let the skill happen through you. I don't think it described it in quite that language, but that's the feeling I get. Practice of Wu Wei from Chinese philosophy, this sense of not trying, but cultivating a space where not trying comes naturally and skillfully. But this is like a decade-old memory. So thanks. Thanks for the reminder. Okay. Yeah, that's all I really have right now. So I'm gonna let this be possibly my shortest video. Thanks for watching. Thanks again, Anthony, for popping in and mentioning that. Yeah. I think mentions basically the best coaching he could do was not coaching people. Yeah, just letting people expose themselves to the feedback loops of reality. Yeah, same in math, actually. My PhD is in math education, and I find exactly the same thing. For the most part, the best you can do is put people in a situation where it is possible for them to get some kind of feedback loop with reality, and then let them flounder. It's really hard to beat that as a teaching method. Okay, thanks for listening.